Hey, I'm Marcus Brown, and some of you may know I like to make ski movies. Also, I've learned I like to have conversations with interesting people in the sport. So earlier this year at the Hilltop ProAm, I sat down with some of the top athletes in this industry, and that's what you're going to see right now. Some interesting conversations, hopefully, with some of the top skiers in the sport. Hope you guys enjoy. All right, Noodle, take me back to the first time. I'm presuming this was the location would be in Australia, but the first time where you were like, I think I might be able to be a pro skier, or I think I might want to try to be a pro skier. When was that?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's hard to pinpoint it whether it was actually in Australia or if it was here in the US. I think it was more just when I knew going out of juniors or before I was finished in juniors that I was going to be able to compete in Open and not just qualify, but actually compete to win Open. That there was a chance, you know. And then once I was able to get to the States and be able to get some training still as a junior, there was definitely a bit of surprise and some eyebrow raises from more so my camp, more than people over here. Just sort of like, okay, you're hanging with these guys, you can ball out too a little bit, and it still sort of hangs with me today that I just I want to feel like I can be there on the dock with the best in the world and be able to compete. That's what drives me.
Who'd you look up to when you were younger?
There was a mix. I think everyone has that overstanding thing of Andy. And there was back then, you know, the Andy and Wade thing. They both brought their styles and their characteristics to pro slalom skiing. And to be honest, a bit closer to heart too was Chris Rossi, just because he sort of gave me a shot, let me train and stay with him when I was over in the States to ski before a junior masters. And we would often get the comparison of how I was starting to come up and ski would be definitely some characteristics. So there was always that. Other than that, of course, my dad,
Yeah.
John Adams.
Why? Tell me about your dad. Was he the guy that got you into skiing?
Definitely, yeah. There was a few people, but it was his crew,
Yeah.
and yeah, those guys, him, my uncle, and other close family friends skiing, and he still skis today. He's
Really?
still very competitive in his age group in Australia.
Wow.
In fact, I'm trying to think of what the divisions are over here as a comparison, you know, but he could ski in borderline on men's 6, but this year skied down at nationals in men's 3 to go where the competition was, you know. Wow. And try and compete. So he's very much in it today and loves it, and you know, I'm behind it 100%.
Yeah, of course, because he's still doing it.
Exactly, and breathes it, you know. It's part of who he is, and he absolutely loves it.
What drives you to ski?
Well, like I said earlier, it's something that you can't explain, I guess, that feeling you get when you're on the water. Yeah. I think there's an underlying thing that feeling I get, the rush of actually slalom skiing, not just the nailing passes, but the actual feeling of being pulled by the boat and feeling like you're completing a pass or working on the art of your technique. That's definitely part of it. But the competitive side, the tournament side, it's definitely knowing that I have it within me, you know. I think anyone that does what we do, there's got to be some sort of irrational confidence or push yourself moment where you have to try and feel like you need to step out of your means if you really want it. It sort of gets to a point with any high-end sport, I think, where it comes down to that 1%. You know, you ask any of the guys here, when was the last time they PB'd by 3 buoys? They'd kill for half or quarter of a buoy, you know. So there is that part of it that drives me too. But just wanting to be on the dock and like in a tournament like this pro event we're here at today, it drives me to feel like I know I've got it in me to compete. And there's the part of it, I guess, that's respect from your peers, to feel like you can ski with them. But at the end of the day, I want to win, and that's what drives me.
What value does skiing have in your eyes, water skiing? In other words, if you took water skiing away, if you deleted it from reality,
Sure.
how would your life be different, or how would your life have less meaning?
Good question. I've worked very, very hard in the last few years to make sure that skiing doesn't define me. I was definitely consumed by it for a little there, where you have this bit of an identity thing where it becomes part of your identity, so that if it was taken away, like you said, what are you now?
Yep.
What do you do in the world, and like I said, I've worked hard to make sure that it is not me. It's part of me, and it's what I love to do, but it doesn't define me. So if it was taken away, well, that's a horrible world, man. I do not want to think about that world. There'd be a lot of people that are around at tournaments like this that I think would find other things.
Yeah.
But me personally, yeah, I feel like there would be other avenues for me to drive into in terms of my focus and stuff that I'm interested in. But it'd definitely be a different avenue. And if I'd already been in skiing and it had been taken away, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah. I guess what I'm picking up is it's a way you get to express yourself. It's an avenue by which, or a vehicle by which, you get to learn about yourself.
Sure.
Learn how to overcome challenges.
Yeah,
all that stuff.
Absolutely. And the fact that water skiing is an individual sport, and it doesn't matter who you are and what level you're at, you're going out to compete against yourself, like a lot of individual sports, and there's all these different aspects to it. There's that side of it, there's the technique side of it, there is I guess that self-improvement side of it too. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of different avenues or cups that skiing fills for me.
Yeah. What's a goal right now for this year?
Well, definitely surrounded by Worlds coming up in October and wanting to compete at that. I feel very, very fortunate with the fact that there's a lot of people that don't get to make a Worlds, and for this to be my 5th one competing and representing Australia is pretty awesome. But again, that will to compete and do better than I have in past Worlds definitely drives me. This year's been a bit of a strange one, and the goals have changed a couple of times, just because I didn't know if I was going to at all, let alone when, get out of Australia to be able to come overseas. So the fact that it's happened and now it's just, let's go, and the wheel's turning real fast suddenly, I feel a bit underskied. So right now it is purely just about getting reps in and get back to what I know I can do. It's strange how things work, but during the pandemic there was less tournaments than ever, and one of the few years in a long time that I haven't been able to train in the US, and I skied out of my mind. I skied really, really well, but it was just haunting me, the fact that I couldn't get over and compete, so it's been a wild couple of years, and I think part of what's driving me right now, or some of the goals, is to get to that point where I was that last year during the pandemic, and just prove it to myself that I can do that when it's game time.
Yeah. What do you want to do this weekend? At the end of the weekend, the end of Sunday, if you look back, what will you need to have done to feel like, all right, I'm satisfied?
I've done it. Yeah, I mean, I would be satisfied. Come on, man, I'm a slalom skier. I don't know what that meaning of that word is, like, right?
What would it take this weekend? Today, tomorrow? You already have, what'd you get? 1 1/4 or 1?
They've given me, it's a 2.
It's a 2.
Yep.
Oh, you did get around and back.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 at 41.
2 at 41.
So you're sitting probably 3rd right now. Tie for 2nd or 3rd.
Just a lovely spot on the bubble.
Because I just
the
saw
comp 2.
Rob's gotten 2, just
Yep.
inside 3. I just saw T-Gas go inside 4, I
Yep.
believe. So yeah, you're in a weird spot right now. But what would you feel good about?
It's a tough one, because, like I said, there's that competitive side of you that just wants to go for it, and I could just throw some number out, or just as deep as possible, But at the end of the day, I know I've got my own things that I need to go out there and execute. So there's a couple of keys with my skiing that I've been working on, imminently right now since I've got back.
What's one of those that might help people watching this or listening right now?
For my own personal skiing, when I'm out there?
Skiing that might help somebody else right now that's worked.
I think right now there's a couple of things on my gate, but the thing that I'm going to say for people at home like that is more just making sure that I don't lose the path that I'm on, especially, let's say, 10-7, so 39 onwards, don't lose the path that I'm on off second wake. What I'm doing right now is, because I'm coming fresh out of the winter, there's been a couple of things that I'll just, you know, give away quickly. There's something about early on in the year, because you got to remember this is almost like a fast-tracked spring for me, that early in the year, it's the only time that you'll ever, as a slalom skier, you know, shortening the rope, it's the only time of year that you'll respect the pace that you go. Because pretty soon I'll just sort of be numb to that. And yeah, you do it enough and you train every day. It's just part of the deal. But there's a couple of those things, including off the second wake, giving away things very quickly and taking myself off the path that I'm on.
When you say off the path that you're on, what I think you're saying is making sure that the handle, the rope stays tight outbound, and that you stay against that handle or against that rope outbound.
Yeah,
so you don't
but
come to where the rope gets droopy.
I know what you're saying, but handle stuff is dangerous, especially if we're talking to people at home. They do all sorts of funky stuff, and we're talking
what do
handle.
You mean by the
but
path?
when I say path, I'm thinking more what I'm doing with the ski, where the ski is going, how that activation of my edge change starts, and the path that I stay on from there. Handle will help part of it.
Where do you want the ski going?
I want it to stay on a path that, like you said, a bit about that line, but as well, I want it going wherever it needs to go for me to keep running that pass, for me to be able to feel like I can execute the turn or do whatever I may need to do at that point. So it's, like I said, staying on the path that I'm on, because I know with my setup and my gait, and if I come through 1-2 like I know I can, then it's a matter of maintaining that path. It's rhythm, not about rhythm, but as well staying on the path that I'm on to keep going down the path.
Then I'm gonna push you.
Dig deeper.
What path? So you're coming into 1 at 39. It's your offside cut into your onside turn. Where do you want your ski going relative to your body on the way out in the pre-turn to apex?
I don't want it to go, I think a key thing that a lot of people will think at home is that they want it to go a long way out from them, and they want this big disparity between where they are, where their handle is, where their head is, and where their ski is at.
That's what a lot of people, that's what we've all been taught.
Absolutely, and that's what everyone was taught 20 years ago. There was no other way. You look at a picture in Water Ski magazine from 1995, there is no one going around a bowl at 39 without the ski way out here from under them, you know? But if we're talking now, today's world, if you're going with that much disparity, it's a long way back. You know, if I put my ski that far out from under me, it's a long way to get it back under me and hope for the best that it doesn't slide underneath me too quickly and let things get out of hand. And you'll see that. You watch this weekend. There'll be a few of those bowls from people where they've just let it go too far. So as much as anything, I guess to answer your question, it's to keep the ski going in a path that's going to allow me to stay riding it.
A sustainable path.
Sustainable. But the other thing is too, have it underneath me, but staying on an angle that when I have that transition to, I'm no longer the fastest thing out here, the boat is. So when I exit buoy, having a ski under me or in a spot that I feel like my Syndicate Pro right now is doing really well for me, that I know I can keep going.
You can just ride it, accept the load from the boat, and off you go.
Yeah, and it's not just, you know, it's a transition. You're not just sitting back and accepting, but it's this handshake between you and the boat that, okay, you're the fastest thing out here now, take me to this next one, let's get things happening again.
I like that. What else? What else you want to talk about? Anything?
I'm just happy to be here, man. I'm just happy to be here. I mean, it's been a long time. It's been nearly 2 years since I've been in the States, and it's in some ways feels really fast. But other ways, it feels like it's been a long time, man. Your dreads have got a little bit longer since I saw you, and so my hair's got a little longer too. But
you know what happens when you don't cut your hair? It gets longer.
Does that
every time?
Yeah. No, so it's just, I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be back in time to at least compete at some of these events. Like I said, I feel a little bit underdone going into this, like just purely reps wise. I've never come into an event like this less amount of skiing going into it. But part of that, getting on the plane to come here was, I looked at it this way. It's going to be a bit of trial by fire. You know, I was going into it a little underdone. I knew I was going to ski my ass off, so that regardless of what happens this weekend, I'll be back into the game by the time these next few events happen, you know. It's
a bit of a kickstart to the second half of the season.
Exactly. And you got to remember, like I said, it's second half over here, but to me it's very early on. So it's kickstart, whatever you want to say to get me back up to speed.
And who knows, you could throw out some wild card performances and surprise yourself.
Exactly. Well, surprise me, surprise anyone else. I mean, those eyebrows are raised, but you just go for it.
Nice. Well, good luck out there, dude.
Thank you very much.
Good luck
man.
the rest of the
Appreciate
weekend.
it. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, buddy.